LuxAir Jets is excited to announce the new, most convenient way to fly nonstop from Lexington to historic Saratoga Springs throughout the racing meet. We are now offering exclusive group packages on our luxurious private jets. Each package offers a once-in-a-lifetime experience that you can share with your friends, family, or business partners. Call for pricing and availability.
Welcome to the Daily Racing Form Saratoga Report, brought to you by LuxAir Jets. I'm here with my colleague, Dave Grening. We're going to try to make a little sense out of all the madness that happened here on Jim Dandy Day, starting with the madness of the Jim Dandy. Derby winner, Preakness winner, they got beat by a grass horse. What happened?
Good question. The smarter minds than mine can probably figure that out. Deep racetrack, long layoff, 70 days for the Derby and Preakness winners. Could we possibly be used as an excuse? I don't know, always dreaming. And he had everything's in his own way down the backstretch. I uttered out in the press box. I don't know if you heard. I said, "How does this horse lose from here? If he is what we think he is, and maybe he's not. You know, he's the Derby winner, but maybe he peaked. Maybe he peaked on May 7th, and that's the best we're going to see from him. You know, it was a weird race for him because it looked like he was going to get past. Then he kind of fought back, and then he did get past. And then if you watch the head-on, he gallops out 6 lengths in front of the winner. So for whatever that's worth, not worth a penny at the windows. But he didn't just chuck it in like he did in the Preakness.
There were several lead changes, taking place up front, not on the horses themselves, but amongst them. Cloud Computing challenge, and then Pavel came and challenged. They were 3 wide in the stretch. So was it a perfect storm for Good Samaritan, all that stuff going on up front, and him just kind of sitting back, biding his time, and here he came?
I think it was. I mean, it did sort of set up. There's at the 3/16 to the 8th pole. There's 4 of them across the racetrack, and Good Samaritan sort of sitting back there making his run. We didn't really know what Good Samaritan was on the dirt because he had never been on the dirt before. And really, frankly, I thought his last couple of turf races, or at least his last one, was a bit on the disappointing side. And maybe he's got a better turn of foot on the dirt than he does on the turf, or maybe just the 3-year-old's just a kind of mediocre, and this was his time to shine. The Haskell was going to be run later on Sunday, a little while after we're taping this. Maybe somebody comes out of there. It's a jumbled picture in the 3-year-old division. The Travers could be a very interesting race. I'm going to bet against all the 3 winners of the Triple Crown races showing up, because I don't think that Cloud Computing will run in a Travers off a race that he just ran. And if you remember last year, Chad Brown did win the Pennsylvania Derby with a nice horse Connect, and I could see him potentially going there.
Do you think Elliott Walden and Bill Mott lost any sleep last night thinking, boy, I could have won the Kentucky Derby if we had this horse on dirt a little earlier?
Well, no, because that horse came out of the Breeders' Cup with a chip in his ankle, and he needed the time off, and their Derby dreams ended on November 4th. They were talking about at one point putting this horse on the dirt, even as early as last year. If you remember, and I didn't, they pre-entered him in the juvenile dirt and the juvenile turf, and decided, Mott said, look, we're the favorite in the turf. How do you give that up? How do you not run the favorite for $1 million race to experiment on the dirt? And he ran third. He had a rough trip, and he came out with the chip. Now they're getting paid a reward for their patience, and now they have a nice dirt horse. We saw last year the emerging star on the dirt didn't really show himself until the Travers. Now this horse has a 1-race lead on that horse from last year.
And that was arrogant. A couple other surprises yesterday. El Deal, maybe not a surprise that he won the Vanderbilt, but the way he won 8 lengths or whatever it was, and 112 Beyer speed figure. What's up with that?
Well, quite impressive performance for a horse that had shown some glimpses of talent, but not glimpses of superstardom like he showed on Sunday. He's now 3 for 3 with Georgie Navarro. The horse has just improved with each start. I think he won a starter handicap at Charlestown to start that streak. Then he ran nicely in the decathlon at Monmouth. Then he blew away, an average field of sprinters yesterday. AP Indian was the morning line favorite, scratched about 2 hours before the race, or maybe even sooner than that. His trainer, Arnaud Delacour, said that the horse was lame when he brought him out of the ice tub late or early Saturday afternoon, which begs the question, what the heck was he doing in the ice tub? But then if you look at his record and how old he is, the horse has his issues, as we all do.
And the way El Deal ran, it's hard to believe that even if he had run, that he would have won the race. Maybe he would have been second in there. El Deal, I spoke to George Navarro a little earlier. I know he mentioned to you the Vosburg might be next. The Forgo, definitely not. And then he's kind of couched a little bit to me today saying, the Vosburg's a little close to the Breeders' Cup. Maybe I'll find something a week or 2 before that if I can. But if not, we'll see him back in New York for the Vosburg. Biggest surprise from a pari-mutuel standpoint on Saturday was Hunter O'Reilly winning the Bowling Green. again, kind of a perfect storm. Trip-wise, the race just fell apart, and there he was.
Well, it did fall apart, and I think even Jimmy Toner was as surprised as the bettors who plunked down their $2, hoping that the 16-to-1 shot could come in. It's funny, I was talking to him this morning. He has an assistant, not even, she's a little girl. It's the daughter of Christophe Clement's assistant, Christophe Laurie, I can't say his last name, I'm sorry. And she wants a golf cart. And because he's like, how come we have to walk over to the Oklahoma side? And Jimmy Toner said, if we win this race, I'll get you a golf cart. So he won the race, and now he's got to give the girl a golf cart.
And the one not so surprising performances today in the stake races was Cole Front winning the Amsterdam, winning it. It was a length and a half, but it was pretty comfortable. He's 3 for 3 now, and looks like he's heading for the Alan Jerkins / King's Bishop.
Yeah, a very solid performance by Cole Front in his stakes debut. He touted himself last year here training. I'm sure you had him down as a very solid workhorse. Got hurt in a workout here. They put the time and effort to bring him back, and he's paid them in spades with a beautiful win at Keeneland, a nice win at Belmont Park, and then the Amsterdam yesterday. I think he's a horse, being by State Thirsty, that they're going to want to stretch out at some point in time, but go for the Grade 1, and the King's Bishop or the Alan Jerkins is the race that they're going to try.
He was the fastest 2-year-old we actually had working here last summer till he got hurt, finishing a gate work in about 58 and change, I think. Before we put this whole week to bed, we'd be remiss though if we didn't mention paid-up subscribers' performance a little earlier today in the Shuby. What did he win, by 100? Or she win by 100 lanes?
32 and a half, I believe it was. And of course, our expert behind the camera, Barbara Livingston, after I made a kind of a snarky comment that said that, well, they have a secretariat poll at Belmont, they should make a paid-up subscriber poll at Saratoga. Well, Barbara pointed out to me on Twitter for all to see that actually Summer Colony, 16 years ago, won a maiden race, off the turf maiden race, by the way, by 32 3/4 lengths. So she's saying there should not be a paid-up subscriber poll, there should be a Summer Colony poll. So I bow to you, Barbara, and I stole that and put it in the story, and that it's not the largest margin of victory. The interesting thing is Johnny Velasquez was on both, so he's won 2 races at Saratoga by 65 lengths.
So the leader in the clubhouse for the Snarky Award for the meet so far is our camera person and producer, Barbara Livingston. Well, that's about it for this week. We are heading into, this is the end of first full week of the meet, week 2 coming up, or week 3.
This is the end of the what? First full week of the meet? Are you serious? We've got 5, 4.
No, that's what I'm saying. This is the end of the first full week. Next is the second full week. It's actually week 3 if you want to look optimistically, as we're getting closer to the middle.
Where else would you rather be? Look at this glorious
Absolutely,
day.
Absolutely. And Dave, as much as he pretends that he doesn't like to be here, where else would he be but at Saratoga? And where else would you be but watching the Saratoga Clock Report every day from now until the end of the meet, about 3 months from now, here on DRF.com.